get it.
All she wanna do is twerk.
Hit the club, tell them.
They get you down, they put you on the ground, they leave you lying there, they're broken down, they make a sound. Don't you notice them? They check your life again. Make you beg from us, and still nobody notice them. Just when you think it's all over, no hope in life, so what you gonna do? Every shot flies from exposure. So what have you got?
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta, where we're still waiting for Manny's to return to full menu, full hours. It's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Ballard and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Ballard. I'm Mike the Knife. So let's talk about some stuff.
Cuckoo crazy, daddy-o.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're going to do. We're just going to talk about some random stuff today.
Would it be random if I did the whole episode talking like Robert Goulet?
Robert Goulet, what a pull.
No. I'm not doing that.
To dream the possible dream.
Actually, what I would be doing is Will Ferrell doing Robert Goulet.
Now that I could get behind,
yeah,
100%.
Exactly. So yeah, we're just going to talk about some random stuff.
Yeah.
Even half the stuff we're going to talk about, we don't even know that we're going to talk about it because we're just going to sit on the Nerdist website and go and look at the headline and go, here's our reaction to that.
It's been a long week, people.
Yeah. We didn't do our usual 7 to 8 hours of pre-show research and
is that
scripting.
what we're supposed to do?
Yeah. We usually don't you remember we usually do that every time.
No wonder.
So want to start off with I guess on a somber note.
Yeah.
Liesl is dead.
Yes. Yep.
Charmaine.
Your guess is good as mine.
Yeah, Carr's her last name. No relation to John. Liesl from Sound of Music.
Yep.
Died at 73, which is a little early to but died of a rare form of dementia.
Really?
Which really, See, I got the thing. It's like, you hear someone died in a car crash. Yes, that's terrible. Or cancer. That's awful. But when it gets to the brain, that just hits me in a way that the other stuff doesn't quite reach.
That's terrifying because you stop being yourself,
exactly.
That Alzheimer's, it's all of that's really.
I recently lost a friend to cancer, but he was himself right up to the end.
Right.
Totally. Don't get that with dementia. So,
no.
Hey, welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Let's get our Schadenfreude on after that news.
Well, there's also other sad news today.
Oh no, 2016. Just eat a dick, will you?
I mean, it's getting ridiculous.
I've probably, you know what? Unless it's massive, and I just lure myself into all their films and music, I tend to kind of push that out of my head. So who did we lose?
C. Martin Croker.
Oh yes, Zorak. And that was recent.
That was today or yesterday.
It was yesterday.
I only read about it today.
I didn't even know that was he was sick or anything.
I didn't know much about him. I mean, I'm a huge voiceover nerd, and I kind of follow a lot of those people on Twitter and just kind of know what they're doing. He wasn't one that was high on my radar. I mean, I think he was more Atlanta-based, I would say, and he did a lot of the Adult Swim stuff.
Well, as far as I know, his only character that I'm aware that he did was Zorak, which, of course, appeared on Space Ghost and on the Brack Show. I'm sure he did other stuff.
Evidently, he was Moltar as well.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, he was Moltar, and I was reading something. He did a ton.
Oh yeah, I'm
stuff.
sure he did a ton of stuff, but I just don't associate his name with any other
exactly.
characters.
That's
but
the biggest.
I'm sure
one.
He's done infinite amount of stuff.
Right, and he was only 53. I didn't read what took him, but I mean, it's just bad that especially Atlanta losing somebody like that.
Yeah, that's one of our own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a bad couple of months for that.
Can we just say to that? Just no.
What? What's your problem?
I almost want to tempt fate and say it couldn't get any. But
no,
we have an election coming up.
Do not finish that sentence.
It could get so much worse.
So much worse. But let's get on it. Let's talk about something happier.
Happier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Something that's happy for me, perhaps.
Okay.
A judge has issued a ruling against 100% licensing,
meaning
that anyone who wants to use a song, play it on the radio, it's not compulsory because you can always cover a song no matter what, but use it in a film, whatever. The government was saying, no, you need to get the permission of every person who wrote on the song.
Okay.
So if it's a song from a Beyonce album, you have pretty much a third of everyone who's ever worked in music ever.
Yeah.
Girls Who Run the World, I think, had, 17 different writers on it?
Right.
And yeah, it's not Lennon McCartney. It's like, hey, well, Lennon's gone. Let's get McCartney. We're good. Now, according to this latest ruling, unless it's appealed, you just got to contact one.
Just one?
Just one. Just get the permission of one, and you're fine.
That's fair.
So that's good.
When you get to a certain point, like with music like that, and even like with film and stuff, after a while, saying written by when there's more than 10 people, what's the point?
Well, usually you don't promote something, say written by, because when there's when it's written by 17 different people, and sometimes the producer takes a song that is such a shall we say, we've all heard songs that were demos.
Yeah.
You hear the demo version, the finished version, and you're like, oh my God, it went from promising to fully realized masterpiece.
Yeah.
A producer gets points on those songs because they basically are like another writer in how they arrange it, how they get it,
Yeah.
So they get credit for that. And the days of, just a guy writes a song and puts it out, it's still happening, but as far as the pop charts, the top of the pops and stuff like that, it's not always the case, and it's getting rarer and rarer, at least in the upper echelons of the Billboard, hot,
that was
say
the
top 10.
That was the interesting thing about the last dumb outburst by Kanye West when he was yelling about Beck. I saw a meme, and it was like Kanye West's album, and it had a laundry list of writers, and it had Beck's album, and it just said Beck.
Done. Or in the case of Prince, I mean, produced, written by, everything performed.
Yep.
I mean, he usually didn't do his own brass or drum work,
right?
But he could.
Yeah.
He's just like, that's not my thing. I can do it, but I'd rather bring in a top-notch person.
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, you have one weakness as opposed to your brilliance and just about every other instrument, including the piccolo and the zither.
Right.
So, well done there. But so this bodes well for my long gestating.
You're that project you were.
Yeah.
That even he won't tell me what it is, folks.
No.
So don't think I'm any behind the scenes. That we've been talking about it for a while.
In this case, all the songs, every single one, is written by the same two people.
Okay.
So I only have to get one of their permission.
Okay, and
I'm on good terms with both of them as far as I know. So
really,
yeah. So
interesting.
Well, we're not bosom buddies and we chat all the time, but we are aware of each other's existence and have interacted from time to time.
Excellent.
So
okay,
and it'll happen or it won't at some point.
Right, and either way, we'll talk about it.
And if it doesn't happen, I will. I'll release the text. There we go. I don't want to be too specific. I will release the
transcript, if you will.
Something. Let's move on.
Okay. Before you say something you don't want.
I don't want to be known for talking about things I'm working on. I'd rather talk about things I've completed and are a thing that's happening.
Well, it keeps you accountable though if you talk about it. There's different schools of thought on it.
It's like, God, I talked about that. I got to get back on that project.
Yep.
I got to solve that problem.
I just did that. There's also a project I've been kicking around in my head, and
I'm sorry, Rush is not going to let you join. Getty already plays.
It's gonna happen. No.
I mean, if Getty said he's like, I don't want to play bass anymore, I just want to sing and do keyboards, maybe you'd have an in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But
no, of course not.
No. I have a project. There's a thing I've been kicking around in my head for a while that I want to do, and I reached out to our friend and now television screenwriter Topher Payne. who we've got to get on the show just to talk about some stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we need to. We haven't. We've slacked on that. But I was just like, hey, can you give me some just general writing advice and this and that? And he said, yeah, this and that. And he gave
You
me,
talked to him at the party?
well, I talked to him previously, and then I thanked him at the party, and I was like, look, I'm just trying to keep myself accountable. I said, if I start telling people about it, who I respect, I kind of want to use that to motivate myself to finish the damn thing, or at least get it rolling. And he was like, yeah, just write. He goes, write your...
See, that's the thing. I have about 250 fucking great ideas, and it's just picking one, sticking with it, and seeing it all the way through, and not taking a break and just it's
Well, that's too many though. That's your
no,
problem.
it's not like I'm actually actively working on 250.
Right.
I
just
actually
mean
have.
that's your problem. You
I
have
have
too many in your head.
Oh no, I have a morgue.
Okay.
Not for bodies. Yeah. I mean,
I'll be going
ever
now.
since I lived in San Diego. I'd be working in the book bindery at the at 3 a.m. on one of those double shifts, and I will tear a back page out of one of the crapped out books and jot notes in there.
Yeah.
And ever since 19, I've been keeping a list of all the ideas and characters and like, oh, that's a great line of dialogue and all this other stuff. And it's unwieldy.
I'm sure it is.
It's pretty, but I've narrowed down to what I'm working on to 3 things.
Good.
So because you have to.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm going to work on this today and that today. You can't get your head.
You just got to work on a thing and finish it. That's
Right.
why I like doing the theater stuff and having deadlines, because it's like, okay, I have to finish this.
beginning, middle, end. It's
So,
there.
There's a time when this has to be presented and put into a thing and made into a thing, and I've got to work on it. And it really,
Right.
And it's just literally for me, sitting down and starting, just sitting down and getting started, because I'll lose hours working on sound stuff,
But it's just I have some editing work to do on the next release for Deep Shag. Mm-hmm. But I know once I get into it, it's going to suck the entire day away. And I never wake up going, yeah, I got nothing else going on. I can devote my entire day to that.
Right.
And I never do, so I don't. So it's been sitting there for months.
And me having a deadline, it's like, okay, the tech is this week, this weekend, and the run is this weekend, and I have this amount of time to get stuff to it.
You got people relying on you.
Exactly.
So you have to deliver.
Yeah.
With me, I just have to deliver to my own sense of satisfaction and vanity or whatever.
The other project I'm working on for myself, I haven't started. Well, I've started, but I haven't worked as diligently as I have on the theater stuff.
Right. Well, when your friends are waiting on you, you got to deliver. You can't
exactly.
So anyway, well, I want to mark September 2016 as kind of like, I don't know, 0 AD. There's BC, before Christ, and then there's AD, after his death. August 2016 was before Corey. After 2016, after the death of music, live performance. I don't know.
If you haven't seen it, when was this? It was a couple days ago, wasn't it?
It's within the week.
It was in the week of
Within the week.
recording of this episode. Corey Feldman, the actor from
The Goonies. Stand By Me,
Lost Boys, a bunch of actually very good films.
Classic 80s films.
And he was actually very good in all of them for what he was doing.
Yeah.
He's always had this weird musical thing where he kind of wants to be Michael Jackson.
And apparently they were friends.
Yeah, absolutely. There's footage of them walking down red carpets in the same outfit. The glove and the members only jacket and the whole. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing. You can't. Michael Jackson is one of the most prolific genius. You know, he was a lunatic, but I mean, he was a genius at what he did.
He had his issues.
He definitely had his issues, but he was a genius at what.
Well, if you had his upbringing,
absolutely.
My God, how twisted would either of us be?
Right, exactly.
You know?
And
I had a pretty decent upbringing, and look how twisted I turned out.
Exactly.
Good Lord.
Exactly. I mean, you don't have a ranch and a monkey, but I mean.
Oh, but I aspire, man. I fucking aspire.
If I could afford a monkey, do you not think?
I'm well on my way.
But so I can see why Corey Feldman would be, enamored of the guy. It's just, Corey Feldman's got to be pushing 40 at least at this point.
No, he is 45.
He's 45.
He is 45 years old. What we are referencing is a live performance on the Today Show where he showed up kind of dressed as someone from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, he's still kind of got the Michael Jackson hair.
Yeah,
going.
Yeah. Well,
he's wearing a hood when he shows up.
The bad era Michael Jackson.
Exactly. The long straight hair.
Right, kind of going into dangerous Michael Jackson. Not Thriller, not off the wall Michael Jackson.
Right.
And he is backed up by Robert Palmer's old band,
the Daughters.
The Daughters.
Robert
they're all a bunch of of girl musicians, and,
I hope,
white, and I hope they're getting paid.
I hope those girls are getting paid well because. Having a girl band is kind of a trendy thing, and I'm really glad that that female musicians are coming into their own and being, they're being more commonplace, which is so great to see.
It's got some ways to go because even I was like, oh wow, his band's all women. I shouldn't think that. I should be like, oh, he's got
that's
a band.
Great band, yeah. But the fact
that
that the way they were dressed, they're dressed as angels with like stockings and
the fish. Not the fishnets,
garter
the
belts.
Stockings and the garter belts.
Yeah, and that's where
and
I was
halos, and I'm like,
come on, man.
All right.
And I'm sure that they are all. Talented musicians. That's why they got the gig.
They held their own. I didn't. In listening to the song, I didn't think
thing.
to myself, "Oh, that was horrible." It was just.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I doubt they were playing on that performance.
You don't think so?
No. In cases like that, from what I could.
There was a backing track. I know that.
That's
for a
the
fact.
thing. I think
just what's
it was
all
a backing.
on the backing.
I think the only live mics at all were Corey's and the rapper who came out after. I don't think the rest
complete
of them were
unknown
playing.
rapper that.
Right.
And you know what? I don't know the name of the rapper, and the guy at the end says, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know
It's
this guy was here." It's
so-and-so.
like, how do you know who that guy is? No one knows who that guy is.
Because he'd been there for 4 hours at that
right.
point.
It's like,
That's
I had no
how-
idea. I talked to you in the green room.
Yeah,
and
that's
you
how
mentioned-
Billy Bush knew.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? I'll be the first to admit I stopped giving a fuck about what's even close because I used to like follow the charts because when I was working in music distribution and of course having a label, I like to keep my ear to what's popular, not necessarily going, oh wow, I can't wait for the new
so and so
whatever single. Because let's face it, only about 10% of what's really popular is actually good. I mean,
if you're lucky.
I mean, that last Beyonce album was fucking amazing, and goddamn, it deserved every little bit of success it had. But for every one of those, there's 1,000 that are like, I don't even recognize the names of the artists in the top 10,
At all.
let alone
Yeah.
anything.
Ever heard
when
any of
before
that
I
music.
could go all the way through into the hundreds of the album charts before I started seeing names or albums that I didn't recognize. Yeah. Not anymore. Mm-hmm. So get off my lawn.
Yeah, so he was Feldman was pimping a double album evidently.
Double album.
That's a lot.
A double album called Angelic to the Core.
Yeah.
2, the numeral 2. Because he's also channeling Prince.
Yeah.
Why not?
The song was it was fine. It was kind of a weird EDM kind of dubstep drop beat kind of.
I kind of thought of it more as like a slowed down Limp Bizkit kind of feel.
Yeah,
with a
kinda.
little
very
bit
electronic, very electronic.
Yeah,
and him singing over it fine, and then the rap section and a little.
And before I thought, all right, you know what? Maybe he's got a good voice. No, not really. I mean, it's okay.
It's okay.
I mean, he didn't embarrass himself with his voice. However, at the beginning of the clip, they were talking before going into the performance, and he says, "We're going to see some Michael Jackson moves, I hear." And he's like, you know, I mean, we used to, I mean, I grew up around,
Inspired by,
yeah. It's, you know, you know, we have a lot of commonality in our dancing because, you know, Michael was, 25 and I was 10 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then he starts with something like it's almost like you'd watch like a dance parody where I don't even know, is he parodying ballet? And then he went into some serious, like, oh, all right, you were definitely copping Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And if you had the catalog and the stage presence to back that kind of those moves, I'd say you could probably pull it off. I mean, Michael Jackson always pulled it off, and you're like, oh, I'm there. I mean,
right.
He's doing it. And
yeah.
When Corey Feldman does it, it's like if I did it. I mean, like, yeah, he's doing it, but why?
Well, why? And
what's behind that?
What,
you know,
what is he doing?
It's like the unthriller, you know, bad, just bad.
It's worth a look just for the curiosity. I mean,
for cultural awareness.
Yeah, I mean, you know, good on him. Like you said before.
Yeah, how many double albums do I have? Let me count. 0.
Right, exactly.
You know,
and how many performances on the Today Show have we had? None.
Well, actually, no. We have
none.
absolutely none whatsoever.
Yeah.
How many performances of anything anywhere do we have as a podcast? Now you,
I've done a couple things.
Hey, you know, just opened for fucking Bruce Springsteen or Dave. Was it Dave Matthews?
Technically, it was the Pretenders, but it was the same night as Neil.
Even more respect. I like the Pretenders more than I like Neil Young or
Collective Soul and Jason Mraz and a couple other things.
Yeah,
but you know, so I don't like belittling other artists, but it is kind of
right.
like
Comparing art is as stupid as which art is best.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, really? It's like, I'll be the first to admit, I'm going to bring it up again. Here it goes. St. Elmo's Fire. Fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
And you know what? For me, it's great. For other people, it's a huge piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're both right.
Exactly. It's all subjective. What is it? I forget who said it. Talking about art is like dancing about
architecture.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is, you know, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So,
exactly.
but, you know, if you want to, you know, for good or ill, if you want to have a laugh or you want to dig into something cool, you know, check out
Or
the
you know
clip.
what? Maybe you'll listen to that and you'll go, you know what? I see something in that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get the double album. You know what? Knock yourself out. I've got more than a few embarrassing shit in my God, if we ever do an episode where we go through my CD collection, man, there's
Probably about, out of the 10,000 CDs I have, there's probably about
200-300 in there. 100, 200. That I'd be horrified if anyone even knew what was in there.
I've got actual performances of mine on video that are, you know, that are a little bit wow, I was young.
Why
was I wearing that?
Yes.
But the best case scenario and stuff like that, someone could watch that and go, you know what, I can do it. If that guy can do that, I can do it. That's the beauty of art, I think.
Right.
That the inspiration and keeping the cycle going.
Right.
You know?
So while we could say, I will never be putting that on my iPod, I'm happy that it's out there, that it may make him happy at the very least.
Yeah.
Employ some girls in a band.
Yeah, let him get some exposure.
And maybe one or two people go, I'm there. You know what? I'm 45 years old like Corey is, and I've had this dream, and I'm going to make that dream happen. Yeah. Honey? I'm leaving you. I'm going to Los Angeles. Tell the kids I will be back never.
Maybe it's not such a good
Maybe
idea.
not. Damn you, Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
Moving on to something a little more cheerful.
Yeah.
Well, cheerful / horrific, which I'll illuminate you on. Both involve Jimmy Fallon.
Okay.
The enjoyable thing is that we recently discovered a previously unknown connection between the movie Aliens and the Beatles.
Oh, yes.
In that, in 1964, a teenage Sigourney Weaver appears in the crowd footage of the Beatles' 8 Days a Week.
That's pretty amazing.
Which Jimmy Fallon screened for Sigourney on the talk show and on the Tonight Show. And she's like, oh, yeah. And I did the math. I still think Sigourney Weaver's a gorgeous woman, and she's pushing, if not at, 70 years old.
Yeah, pretty damn close.
And I'm like, first thing that pops into my head is, Ridley Scott, I know you want to do your Prometheus prequel crap, but you know what? Let's get the Blomkamp thing going because,
Yeah, we're running out of time.
it's,
I mean, she's not, I don't think she's going to leave us anytime soon, knock on wood, but
I don't know, 2016.
I know,
might
fucking get her. But, I mean, she's not going to be able to, get away from you bitch, get away from her, you bitch anymore. It's going to be a tough, she's pushing 70. She's not going to be able to do the action stuff.
Well, I'll just say,
yeah.
Crystal Skull.
Yeah, my point exactly.
Now, listen. Aside from that ridiculous, and I mean fucking ridiculous, surviving a nuclear test blast in a lead-lined fridge, which they don't make because that's not a thing.
Okay.
Then again, George Lucas, still hurting me. Still, at least he didn't write the dialogue. He just wrote the crappy story around it. It had some fun parts, and yes, the alien. He wanted to mix the Flash Gordon. He wanted to get. I mean, and I get that.
Here's the thing. The concept behind Crystal Skull, I think it's a really good idea. The whole Area 51 thing, and it was cool with the Ark and this and that. The execution is where it fell down.
Right.
I don't even the fridge thing. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. It's fine. It's it's no more ridiculous than any other thing.
It's like, you believe a guy can reach into a guy's
and pull
chest and pull
out.
his heart out, and it still beats and bursts into flame. But you have a problem with
right. The problem I had with Crystal Skull, opposed to I'm not even going to discuss that.
I'm a disgruntled teen. I really play that convincingly. Look how disgruntled I am. Look at my face.
Hollywood
the gruntle.
superstar Shia LaBeouf. No, the problem I have that I had through the whole movie, as opposed to Force Awakens.
Yeah.
When I was watching Crystal Skull, the whole time I was like, I kept looking at going, there's an old guy in an Indiana Jones costume. He never, it didn't connect up to me for some reason.
It did for me. I mean, it was still Harrison, yes, a little more grizzled. And, of course, if he was still fighting Nazis, I'd be like, really? But they took it into the 50s, so they actually aged the character roughly the same amount of time.
They kind of had to.
Oh, yeah, you had to. But, I mean, let's face it. The best Indiana Jones films are the ones where he's fucking with the Nazis.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I like me some Temple of Doom, don't get me wrong. But I really like hurting the Nazis.
Yeah,
I'm all for Nazi bashing.
And the best thing, and honestly, the best thing about that movie is having Karen Allen back. I mean,
yes, and oh my gosh, you have a romantic lead. That's age appropriate.
Right.
Because if it stuck to the Hollywood, way things, Harrison at 70 would be with a woman who's about 32 to 38.
Yeah.
Which. Yeah, that happens in real life, but not to us.
No.
That's to the rich,
No. And, just kudos to her for going back and,
and pulling it off. I thought she did a fine job.
I got to meet her at Dragon Con a few years ago, and she could not have been nicer, sweeter, more gracious.
Except for that one part where she goes, Dan, I'm your goddamn partner.
Yeah, and then she punched me as soon as I walked in.
And then she drank half a bottle of fucking gasoline.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa!
Yeah. No, she didn't.
Because she's badass.
Yeah, no, she didn't do any of those things. But she was super duper sweet.
Yeah.
But going back to when Force Awakens came out, I was like, God damn it, Han Solo, there he is. So...
I know.
You know what I mean.
Well, let's face it, unless J.J. Abrams just stepped on screen and flipped you off for 2 hours, whatever they presented, you'd be like, Star Wars, yes, I approve.
Not necessarily. We had 3 movies of, I'm trying to choke this down.
Yeah, be like, I know these beats are very nutritious, but...
It's funny, Kevin Smith was talking about watching Batman v Superman, and he was watching the Blu-ray at home, and he said his wife came in and said, how many times are you going to watch this? And he said he looked at her and was like, until I love it!
Yes. On the flip side of Jimmy Fallon, and of course also speaking of Hitler.
Okay. I don't know where we're going, but I'm in.
He did an interview with good old Don Trump.
Ah, yes.
And the phrase kid gloves doesn't even come close to it. Now, of course, you don't expect a hard-hitting political interview
Right.
on a talk show. I get that. Letterman did the mix that I like. He was jovial, but he had a couple like, but what about this? And kept it fun, but putting the candidate or the person or,
Yeah.
because you remember, wasn't it Hugh Grant came on Letterman after the whole Hooker, the Divine Brown thing, and Dave's like, what the hell were you thinking?
That was actually Leno.
Was it Leno?
That was Leno.
Are you sure it was
I
Leno?
am. That Hugh
I
Grant
thought that
thing was Leno. I'm 99% positive it was Leno. Letterman was the one. Letterman was the one who had. It was either Paris Hilton or.
Oh, he definitely had Paris Hilton
He had
on. I remember that.
And he was like, talking about her being in jail, and she was like, well, I don't want to talk about that. And he said, that's all I want to talk about. So that's where it comes in. Yeah.
Was it really Leno?
I'm pretty sure.
My brain kept saying,
I'm pretty
okay,
sure.
then.
But it's like that's one of the things that Letterman would do. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Leno.
Well, Bill O'Reilly would still come on his show after he basically called him a Nazi to his
Right.
face on the air.
See, Leno with the Hugh Grant thing, he did it, but it was more of a like, what were you thinking? It was not as like Letterman would be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Letterman would have gone right in, whereas Leno. But so, I mean,
What kind of car were you driving when you picked up the prostitute? I love cars.
I love cars.
Yeah. I love my PG comedy.
I didn't see the Trump thing other than Fallon like mussing
Mussing
at
up his hair.
Ooh.
It's like, hey, you know what? If you grow your hair out enough and you get bobby pins and spray hairspray, you can have the Donald Trump, because basically my guess is that he's probably has the male pattern baldness that starts in a circle at the top.
Yeah.
And he's just doing that elaborate thing to whip it up and fold it over.
The joke I kept coming up with in my head was that the reason he hasn't just let it all go out is that he's afraid that the Superman is gonna put him in prison. Because that's about right.
Lex, it was you the whole time.
I knew it.
And basically just gently cradled Trump's balls in his hand for the entire segment, which I mean, this guy is going to be the president.
Here's the thing: Fallon's not that guy. Fallon is your dopey older brother.
I know, but if you've got Satan I know that's definitely hyperbole, but if you've got fucking evil sitting right next to you, to this country.
But that's not the guy. If Jon Stewart would have had him, it would have been fireworks.
If Bill Maher, Bill Maher would never be receiving Trump on his show.
Right.
He would have him on the show, but Trump just never would go.
No,
because he's ruthless with him.
Did you see that John Oliver did a whole bit on that?
I was like, I've not talked about Trump for the whole season. Guess what? Tonight we're talking Trump.
That's fine.
And he just basically rolled out this like 55-barrel drum of whoop ass and just opened it up and did the whole segment, his whole show on hurting Trump.
Who? Bill Maher?
No.
John Oliver.
John Oliver.
Yeah. And he said the best case scenario is Trump. He said, Mr. Trump said he would never come on my show he said, if you will come on and concede that this is a terrible idea and drop out of the race, you can do it right here on my show. He cited a book called, I want to say Kid President, but I know that's like a internet thing. It was something like that.
There's an Upton Sinclair book.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Where basically like a dopey kid runs for president.
Well, this one is not about a dopey kid. You may be thinking of a different one, but there's an
Okay.
Upton Sinclair book. I cannot remember the title to save my life, but it's about basically some, half illiterate bumfuck from the middle of nowhere somehow getting the nomination.
No, this is something else. This was a child runs for president. He's like a class clown. He actually runs for president, and it's exactly the Trump scenario. He just goofs his way through the whole thing, and at the end of the book, he has a long speech about you need to take this more seriously. I'm just a child. You can't be serious to put me in office, so I have to walk away.
Right.
I was doing this to make a point at how dopey adults are and this and that. And he was like, this is the exact scenario that we're living right
Exactly.
now. And this is if Trump comes on and reads this speech from this children's book, word for word, you can drop.
I have two things to say about that. One, hey, kid president, you're not 35, so how did you even get in the race to begin with? I guess that's addressed in the book somewhere?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Because that's, that's the minimum requirement. You got to be...
Well, that's the whole point. Is like he has absolutely no qualifications. He's not old enough. But somehow through cult of personality, he ends up charming his way farther and farther and farther and farther.
I was still eating my boogers and worrying about cooties 3 years
Exactly.
ago, and now you're going to put me in charge of the nuclear codes? Are you kidding me? The other thing going on right now, it's a continuation from the last season. South Park is they're parodying the election, but in their world, it's a contest between a turd sandwich and is it enormous douche? It's some kind of a descriptive douche.
Okay.
Terrible douche.
Something like that.
Enormous douche. I can't remember what it is. And they actually have, it's definitely Hillary Clinton, but she's always mentioned as turd sandwich and addresses herself as turd sandwich. So what are you going to have, a turd sandwich or a gigantic douche or whatever it is? So welcome back, South Park. We need you in this run up to the election.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a brutal season.
I fear for America.
TikTok, man, it's coming.
You know what makes me even more fearful?
Yes.
Got nothing much to say about this. I'm just going to throw this fact out at you. Based upon on hit counts, the new trailer for the 50 Shades More Grey, more popular than Star Wars Rogue One, and go.
That will be gone soon enough.
What are you saying? The first 50 Shades film won all the Oscars.
Right.
It topped the box office for months and months.
Right.
What are you saying?
It was the original. It was the first blockbuster we ever had, and it's. Oh wait, no, that was Star Wars. That's fine. I mean,
after the first couple of opening weeks, and all the the middle-aged housewives have had their special moments in the theater thinking about while they're watching 50 Shades.
Yeah,
it'll drop out of the box office, whereas Star Wars will live forever.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's why not to digress off of the whole.
We never digress on this podcast ever.
That's all we ever do.
We are tightly scripted.
Every time I hear about Jim Cameron, I'm going to do 5 more Avatar films. It's like, okay, here's the thing. Yes, somehow Avatar topped the box office and was the most, lucrative film of history. Nobody cares. Like, okay, it made all the money, but in the fandom world...
Right. How many Avatar cosplays have you seen at anything ever after, let's say, the first 2 years after the film came out?
Every now and again you'll see it, but not... It's not, the cultural penetration is not there. And there isn't like a million things all the time. Yeah.
Giggity.
Yeah. Okay. Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Yeah, I did.
But exactly, Firefly, 13 episodes, 10 of them aired, and
a
to
film,
this day,
and a film, and people are still like
brown coats of forever. And I couldn't possibly tell you like any of the names of the characters in I think Jake Sully is the name of the guy in Avatar, is like the main character.
Oh,
I don't know what Sigourney Weaver's character's name is. I don't know.
Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, and those are the only 2 names I know.
Right.
I saw the film one time in the theater.
Me too.
I thought it was beautiful, and it had a story. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I walked out, and I shed it.
Yeah, it was gone.
Had no residue, no...
It's a gorgeous film. I've caught it on television now and again, but who cares? Why are you making 5 movies?
Now, watch us... as we have to choke on our words because it's James Cameron. Avatar 2 comes out, and it does better than the first one.
Well, here's the thing. I've already done that because we were watching something. Some Fox TV show, and there was a commercial for Avatar, the first one.
Right.
The trailer was on television.
And did you yawn like I did?
Not only did I yawn, Courtney was like, "What's that?" And I started laughing and said, "That's the movie that James Cameron loses his ass on."
That's what I said too. And I also said that about Titanic because I follow the trades, and I'm going, this film, its budget is spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
it's, now of course I didn't know anything about how it was just Titanic. I had no idea what was going on there, and he played it right to that tween mark at the end. You're like, my heart will go on.
Well, he made a love story and then tacked a disaster movie on the end of it.
Right.
It's like
Airport 77 on the Atlantic.
Yeah. It's like the girls would come for the romance story and the guys will watch the boat sink.
And that's what I actually saw Titanic in the theaters probably 3 times because it was so fucking amazing. Some of the effects, it put you there. The dialogue made me want to absolutely just retch. And of course, I fell in love with Kate Winslet and have not fallen out of love with her ever since.
Yeah, I can see enough. Yeah. I can see that.
I've never let go until I felt like I had to, and then I watched him fall to the bottom of the ocean and die.
And one of my favorite things was MythBusters did the whole thing with the door.
Could they both
have easily have stayed on the door?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's bullshit. But anyway, so yeah, that's 50 Shades. I've heard from a few females who went to saw it and they went, oh yeah, it was really hot. A couple of guys that unfortunately had to go along like, whatever.
Yeah, they said it wasn't even that racy of a movie for, other things we've seen.
Well, that's the thing. I've not read the books. I will not read the books because I don't read Dick and Jane reading primers anymore either.
Terribly written books.
Yeah, that is what I hear, and I tend to believe the people that I talk to about that in my circle. Like, I read it. Because there's certain things, like, I will go see, maybe not go see, but I will rent. I saw Battlefield Earth. Everyone said it was a piece of shit, and it was no skin off my nose to spend 2 hours for cultural literacy to watch it and go, wow, I understand. Now I can talk about it and be informed about saying how horrible it is. A book? That takes a little bit of a time investment. I don't know how long this 50 Shades thing is.
No, it can't be.
But it's just like, you know what? For some reason, for me, I don't have the same attitude. Even if it's like, even if it was only 80 pages, I could probably knock that out in a couple hours, if that. But with books, it's like, if it's universally reviled and I really don't have any interest in it, I don't read it for cultural literacy. I just don't. Reading is like kind of more sacred to me, which is strange because I watch far more films than I do read books. But it's just different.
Yeah, the only time I've done that was the Da Vinci Code. I read that.
I still haven't read that. I need to read it because it seems interesting.
Well, here's the thing.
Anytime the Christians get all bunged up and upset, I'm like, oh, that goes to the top of my list.
Yeah, it was just, I hated it every page of it, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down. I was like, I don't know why I can't stop reading this book. It was, there's he's a cryptologist or cryptologist, I guess.
I think that's it.
Yeah, he's, his whole thing is, figuring out puzzles. And, okay, they were fine. There was one puzzle in the book that I figured out 35 pages before and I'm screaming at the book. I was like, it's this, it's so, it was like a skewed history book with a shitty spy novel jammed in the middle of it.
So you mean it's national treasure, just taken abroad to Europe?
I guess.
And throw a little Jesus in.
Right, throw a lot of Jesus in.
It's mostly about Jesus.
So
they're doing a third film based on that character.
I know.
It's Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and whatever this next one is.
Angels and Demons was actually first.
Well, it was
the first
it's a prequel,
book.
but the Da Vinci was filmed first.
Yeah.
Da Vinci was popular.
The book
first.
came out first.
They went back and did the prequel, and now they're doing a third one.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's called, but
I don't.
I mean, good for Tom Hanks, and I think it's Ron Howard.
He's directed all of them.
Yeah,
and I saw the Da Vinci Code movie.
Okay,
I saw.
So I don't think I ever did.
Yeah, and it's just one of those films, like 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
It's, I saw it. I understand. Mm-hmm. Doesn't really, because every once in a while you get surprised. You're like, you know what? A lot of people don't like that film. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch that. Speaking of films coming out,
yeah.
Todd McFarlane is almost done writing a new Spawn movie.
Is he really?
Yeah. Now, I never watched any of this HBO Spawn or
the film
or anything. I have no knowledge of Spawn at all. I'm guessing you probably do.
Okay, so 1990 had to be 1 or 2. Living in New York with my buddy Will, and he's he was my comic guru. He's the one who taught me all the stuff I know about comics. He was, he's the guy every week or every month or whatever it was. We would go to the comic book store, pick up his bag full of comics that they would pull every day.
He was your Anthony, except you actually paid attention and had interest, whereas I just went, oh, those comics are nice. I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, we would like go to the comic book store, come
go.
back, and Saturday read comics all day. And his guy was like, "Oh, I put something in your bag. Check it out. I think it's gonna be big." And it was Spawn #1. Yeah. So we read the whole, the first 20, 30 Spawn issues.
Now, real quickly,
Yeah.
is it a human that goes down to hell and has to come back, or was it a demon from hell that comes back?
He's a human. He was a human who basically sold his soul to save his family or something, and like he goes to hell and he basically says, "You can have my soul, but I want to see my family." And the devil's like, "Okay," and sends him back. But he's this creature, this magical. He's got powers and everything.
That devil, what a dick!
What a dick! Yeah.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
And it was good. It was really cool. It was like the feature film. Okay, the animated series that they did on HBO.
Right.
Very cool. Very well done. Very R-rated. Very true to the comics, bloody and rough
Good.
and stuff.
That's
yeah.
why you take things to cable, where you could actually say fuck and show a boobie if it has to be shown.
Yeah, Keith David, man, as Spawn, you can't get better than that, But the feature film,
live action or
live
anime?
action.
It was
Yeah,
live
they did
action.
live action, and they did it right at the dawn of CG. So it just so now would be a good time to do a Spawn movie, because he's one of those guys where the cape is huge and alive and be huge and trailing behind, and they couldn't do that. I mean, they did.
So I tried to do Rorschach's mask.
Yeah,
10 years ago, you're like, maybe we could have, but it would have looked like animation.
Yeah, doing like in
superimposed.
1997, they just couldn't do it. It'd have to be cartoon, rotoscope, whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing. Now they could do an amazing Spawn movie, because it's just simple to do that kind of CG stuff. So I'm all down for it, because even John Leguizamo played the bad guy, the Violator, I think his name was, and he's on Earth. He's like this weird fat little clown dude, but he's got another form where he's this big nasty monster thing, and both things look terrible. Like the little clown makeup that they put him in was terrible, and the big puppet that they had was bad. And Michael Jai White played what was his name? His name was Al Simmons, who I actually met because he was Todd McFarlane's college roommate. So he named Spawn after his roommate, and he used to walk around in the suit and like pimp the comic and everything. It was really cool.
Wow.
And Michael Jai White was great, but the movie just left a bit to be desired.
Yeah.
So
you're on board for,
yeah,
for
definitely.
another shot at
Yeah,
Spawn?
go for it. Yeah,
All
do
right.
it right. Give us something gritty and mean and like that looks cool.
Talk about continuing a franchise. There is talk about a Mad Max Fury Road prequel.
Yeah, I saw the buzz on that today. I think that's happening. They'd be dumb not to.
They would, but really, I want to see the backstory on Furiosa.
I think that's what it is. That's
so
what I read
basically,
today.
let's face it, Fury Road was Furiosa Road.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it was Max was in there, but he wasn't that mad, and he wasn't much in there. I mean, he was in there, but it's a Furiosa film.
Yeah.
So let's go back, and if she's willing to go back and do it again,
Show the witches or whatever they were.
how'd she lose the arm, and and what's up with Joe? Maybe he was a nice guy with a diamond stick pin, and
how she ended up in his
exactly
all harem or whatever they would want to
as
call
the
it.
Imperator, I think she was.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. I'm looking forward to that.
The other thing, they keep getting closer to. I think they finally signed a deal with Margot Robbie to do the Harley Quinn movie.
Yes, it is. That has actually been confirmed. Official is happening.
Good.
Now, I would like it to be an origin story. Let's find out the backstory of she can still have a standalone adventure. Just take place chronologically before the event, because she's already criminal mastermind that they lock up. at the start of Suicide Squad. So let's find out how she goes from the psychiatrist at Arkham and how she transitions. And
I mean, they kind of did it in Suicide Squad.
but they didn't flush that out.
Yeah, I would
that's when, like-
rather, honestly, I would rather see a bit of a prequel, but not so much. Like, I would rather see her... they would do a lot in the animated series. They would do a lot of what they call Girls' Night Out episodes, where it was Harley, Poison Ivy, Catwoman sometimes, and Batgirl going after him. Like, none of the boys were in it, and they were great episodes. And it's like such a...
Caged Heat. DC edition.
Not quite. But they were really cool dynamics to have just the girls. And that's what, there are a ton of good... heroes and female heroes and villains in DC. I mean, there's Zatanna and Vixen.
Have you heard that there is some talk, but it's really only talk, about a standalone Catwoman film with Anne Hathaway? And she is quoted as saying, like, I'd be up to it, but, they've kind of closed the chapter on the, I've already forgotten his name.
Chris Nolan.
The Chris Nolan Batman.
Yep.
Now we're into another one. I mean, I suppose I could be a part of that, but I don't really see how it would fit. I'm like going, well done, Anne.
Yeah.
I think you did a fine job, and then you're done.
Yeah, it's time to move on. They need a new Catwoman anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the Batman, in the standalone.
And we've had our standalone Catwoman film, and it was fucking awful.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't.
Are you defending it, or are you
I'm denying its existence.
There you go. Okay, very good. I was about to say, really, is this your St. Elmo's Fire?
No,
good.
No,
yeah, that was just not.
I just can't. No.
Yeah, I only watched it myself maybe 2-3 years ago, and my mouth was agape.
Oh, I couldn't even do it. I couldn't even watch it.
The only film I have ever walked out on in a theater is Pet Sematary. Because it was just so fucking stupid.
Okay.
Just god awful. And I've sat through some shitbag films and before. But for the most part, I will... It's like, I've already invested 45 minutes. I had some concerns going into this. Just, go through it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to tough it out. But I won't even bother watching it.
Right, there's something to be said. But once you start...
Yeah.
And, if I'm going to bag on something... I'm either going to watch it, and so I know what I'm bagging on, or make sure everyone knows, like, I just got a bad feeling, and my distaste for this is based on absolutely nothing but my own intuition. Because talking like when you don't know is bullshit.
Yeah. Plus, my thing is not having had still a definitive Batman movie, having all these tangential Batman movies kind of bugged me.
What? You didn't think Clooney was the definitive Batman film ever?
He could have been. I still contend he
would
have
been with
an actual good script.
And
I think Affleck's going to be really great. I think it's going to get better and better.
Well, he's doing he's doing a standalone Batman,
if not two. I mean, I think that's how they got him.
We already got the Justice League teaser at the end of
which is making me hopeful. And there more news of that came out?
Yes. They got Spider-Man in that for some reason. Like, why'd they do that?
How do they even work that?
What? That's a deal.
No, Joe Manganiello is playing Deathstroke.
Oh yes, that's the villain for the next standalone Batman film,
and he's like 11 feet tall and chiseled out of marble. He's one of those kind of dudes.
He's the slightly more affable oh gosh, the guy that's playing Aquaman, Jason Momoa.
Momoa, yeah.
He's the slightly more affable Jason Momoa.
The best thing I heard about it. See, he's playing Deathstroke.
Right.
And Deathstroke has been a character on Arrow since season 1.
Right.
And the actor who plays Deathstroke, Manu Bennett, tweeted as like the news broke. Joe was playing. He said his tweet just said, "Okay, I'm gonna go do Magic Mike." I was like, "Yes, good for you, man.
Take it in stride." Because let's face it, the crossover between TV and the film franchise,
it's not gonna happen.
Has it ever? I'm trying to think.
No.
They've never done that. Not with heroes, villains. There may have been like some cameo.
Marvel has. DC hasn't and will not.
Yeah.
No, the TV stuff. The closest they've done with the TV stuff is on Flash. He'll hop dimensions now and again or go to the other Earths. Sneaky freaking Berlanti, what he'll do, what he did the second time he did it. He's running through the tunnel, and you see images flash by of all like little Easter eggs and stuff. Like they did the Flash Museum, which is in the future, and like the Legion of Superheroes ring.
And the '90s Flash.
Well, that's what I mean. They snuck the John Wesley Shipp Flash in.
Right.
He snuck in an image of Supergirl before the crossover came out.
Ah.
I like threw shit at the TV. I was like, God damn you!
Now,
but the TV movie crossover hasn't happened.
Now in DC, there has been a little bit of crossover in the way of cameos in that Martha Kent from Smallville.
That's different, yeah.
Was actually Lana.
Oh well, in that case, there's tons of that shit
right,
going.
But not same character. Like I am this character in TV, now I'm this character in film. That is not.
No, they have not done that.
Right.
They had, like I said, like he's great with that. Like John Wesley Shipp, who was the Flash in the '90s, plays Barry Allen's father in the Flash.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony, remember me taping The Flash for you in the 90s? Because, I don't know, you were up in Santa Rosa somewhere? Good times.
They had Mark Hamill on an episode, more or less playing the same character.
Right.
He's really good about that. Like on Supergirl, her parents are Dean Cain and Helen Slater. I mean, it's perfect.
Superman and Supergirl.
Season 2, they've already cast the President of the United States, Linda Carter.
Nice.
I mean, he is a total fanboy.
Because you know what? For people that know, they're like, ah! And for people who don't know, oh, that's a good actress.
That's a great actress.
That's
yeah.
it. And so
it's just that extra layer for the fans.
That's the same concept of, if it's not going to drastically change things or make it impossible to work, do it true to the source material.
Yeah.
Because the fanboys will love you for it, and the people that don't know any different will just be like, great story.
Yeah.
So
I've told the story before, but my argument for that was with my dad was he was like, well, what are you complaining about? They got to make it accessible to everybody. And I looked at him, I said, you love Murder on the Orient Express, right? He goes, yeah. I said, imagine they made a Hollywood movie and for no reason whatsoever, Hercule Poirot is Australian. He goes, well, that's wrong. I was like, exactly my point. Thank you. Good night. Case rest.
Right. Exactly.
Nerds.
Yes. Moving on. Just a little note here. What's your opinion of the Monkees?
Monkeys in general or the band?
The Monkees.
I'm a fan of both. So
okay.
Yeah,
right.
I enjoy the Monkees greatly.
Yeah. Not too shabby. At some point this month, if it hasn't already happened, Mike Nesmith, who is kind of on and off, hooked back up with his Monkees.
Yeah, he does a show every now and again.
Right. He announced that I will perform with them one more time for the 50th anniversary of the Monkees, and then really, kids, I am done.
He's going to retire from
and this last Monkees album had him on it.
Yeah.
And
the bits I heard of it were great.
Yeah, everyone, because they got some of the songwriters from Weezer.
Yeah, Rivers Cuomo.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there going, okay, because that's how the Monkees started off. None of the songs on their first couple of records were written by them. However, as they went along, they fought and got some of their compositions on there and played their own instruments, and there's some darn good songs on there.
Yeah.
Some darn good songs.
In the last few years, I mean, obviously we lost Davy Jones, but the last few years it's really only been the three of them and now the two of them. It's been Peter Tork and Mickey Dolenz as the Monkees. And, it's fine. That's what you want. But I'm glad Mike Nesmith every once in a while will get over himself. He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't want
Well, he has other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Even when...
I think he's a film producer.
He is, if I remember correctly, his mother invented whiteout. So
Yeah.
he has always been well financially staked. So he was able to pursue his creative efforts with the Monkees and music. But he's also pioneered home video. I think he had a Elephant Parts was like his big thing in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And remember when the Monkees got popular again because MTV started showing... they did that album, but Mike wasn't on it. But then he just, would pop up in the Christmas video as the guy in the Santa suit, like, hey, it was me the whole time. Hey, it's okay. I'm not doing the music, but no hard feelings.
I'm
like,
putting that goddamn hat on again.
it's like, I'm done with it. It's over. So yeah, I'm a pretty decent Monkees fan. I like
me
him.
too. I loved that show as a kid, and you can catch it every now and again on like one of those like antenna TV channels or something. And it's ridiculously silly, absurdist fun. It's very Monty Python,
and it has probably one of the greatest cameos of all time.
Okay,
playing a bicycle.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Frank Zappa.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Zappa was on there.
Yeah, they were like on the scene at the same time.
That's right.
They were buddies.
They most certainly were.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, we have a first look of J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon in the upcoming Justice League film.
Like in costume, or
yeah, in costume.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet. How?
No.
Turn it around. Let me see.
There we go. Yeah, there's the little. There's that there. There he is with the bat thing and doing the thing.
Nice.
So,
I hadn't even seen that.
So I'm actually looking forward to Justice League. If for no other reason, I want to see how angry and totally awesome Jason Momoa is going to be, and because I'm of course Gal Gadot. I'm in love with her and will make her my wife.
She's fantastic. Yeah,
oh my gosh,
she's
well cast.
Well cast. Like,
kick ass and doesn't hi, I'm slutting it up. Like,
no.
Sexy but strong and kick. You're just I like that.
Yeah,
and I like the fact that they're doing World War I because it gives them room to then go to World War II.
Yeah.
Like let's get all the establishment shit done in the first one where she's, World War I, and then go right to fucking up the Nazis in the second film.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I mean, who knows what they're going to do, but that's what I would like to see.
Wow, it's funny. I had not seen that image yet. That's pretty cool.
And
he's a great choice. I mean, he's good in everything.
Oh, he is. Oh, did you ever see Oz?
Not all of it, but yeah.
Damn.
But he's actually double dipped. He's one of the few that have crossed the aisle because he was J. Jonah Jameson in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, okay.
And so now he's crossed the line over to DC.
Was that the Tobey Maguire ones? Okay.
Yeah. And he was great. He was perfect as that, and he'll be a killer Jim Gordon. So
he was the Perry Mason or the Perry White of Spider-Man, right?
Yes, more or less.
The editor.
Yep.
Now, a little bit of a callback. There's also been a bit of a casting decision for an upcoming major superhero film.
Which one?
Remember we're talking about Corey Feldman?
Yeah.
He has actually been cast in...
Medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I'll tell you about it next week.
The 9 Million Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bowden, with Abdul Benny Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the Office of Howard Howden and Fine.
Thank you, Zorak.
Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Check us out on dadsgarageradio.net. Listen, watch on YouTube. Listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bowen.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ.
Audio Primate.